Welcome to the year that I take control of my finances and finally get my crap together. If you're new here, my name is Evelyn. I'm 30 years old and I honestly have absolutely no idea what I'm doing when it comes to finances, budgeting, or anything in that realm. I grew up not being taught anything about that. I didn't learn about savings accounts. I didn't learn how to control my money, how to manage it. I honestly we never talked about it, and now as an adult it overwhelms me and it feels like a lot because there's a lot to learn. And so for the longest time I really just ignored it because I have money trauma and it made me anxious and it just felt like this big task, and I just honestly put it aside as long as I could. And then 2 years ago I lost my job, and it was the scariest moment of my life because as a mom I can't just lose a job and not have a plan. You have to know what's going on. And now that I finally have a job again, where we finally feel confident enough that okay, we can manage what we have and sort of survive. Now it's the time that I'm okay, now that I have this money that we can actually work with, let's figure out what the heck we're doing. Let's learn how to save it. Let's learn how to budget, and let's make a plan. And so that's what we're doing this year. That's what we're working on. And this video, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of my financial goals, what I'm learning, what I'm working on, and how we can do this together. Because one thing that I did struggle with is there's these videos online of how to do your finances, but they are a lot for someone who's a beginner, and I'm a beginner. So this is kind of how to start and do it in a way that is easy and in a way that's little by little, so you don't get overwhelmed and don't give up the way that I did for so long. Number one thing that I did this year to start this whole financial journey is I got a job back in October. And as soon as I did that, one of my goals was to open up a business account and open up an LLC. And I was finally able to do that. And I'm really proud of myself because, again, this is something that overwhelmed me for so long. But it's official. I have an LLC. I have a business banking account where I can make sure that that's where I'm getting paid through everything with my business, and I pay myself. And I just feel a little bit more official now, which is really exciting. And that was step number one. My step number two is figure out budgeting and savings. And that is something that I definitely struggle with. I feel like I'm the kind of person that I have never wanted to do this. So instead of knowing how much I spend a month or my budget, I just don't spend as much as I possibly can. And this can be such an unhealthy thing when you're worried about how much money is coming in and out and stuff. And so I rather have a mindset of having freedom to spend when I need to and knowing how much I can spend. And so that's why I want to work on this instead of just never spending on anything at all ever. Which is just how I grew up. And one thing that I did to start making all of this a little bit easier and start learning about all of this was that I joined Skillshare, and I've been learning on their platform, which has been so exciting. And I'm really excited because I got to partner with them on this video. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with so many topics ranging from graphic design, social media marketing, budgeting, photography, and honestly so much more. They have thousands of creative classes in countless categories ranging from beginner to advanced, and it's awesome for a beginner like me. I took a class called Lazy Budgeting for Freelancers, and it was perfect because it honestly felt like a class that was made exactly for me. The classes are designed by creatives for creatives. Skillshare classes are taught by industry experts excited to share their tools, techniques, and professional journeys with members. This was my first time using Skillshare, and for the last 3 months I had access to it, and it was so useful. It's nice that they have options that are really beginner friendly, and there's just something for everyone. Even lazy budgeting for me, someone like me that I'm yes, that's what I want. I want something that is easy, something I can do once a month, even though some people might want to do it weekly. I need something that isn't daunting, and they had a class for me and it was perfect, and I learned, and it was so valuable. So if you're like me and you want to learn and you want to use this platform, then go ahead and use my link. The first 500 people will get a month for free, and the link will be down below. Taking those classes really helped just remind me that it doesn't have to be so scary and so hard. And the one thing that I'm working on now is I'm going to start a tracking system, and I don't know what that's going to look like yet because I'm not the kind of person who can track every single purchase all the time weekly. That's just not realistic, especially with how busy my life is right now. So I have a template that I downloaded. I think it's Excel, and I'm going to try my best to figure out a system that works for me. Probably maybe just the bigger things our main bills, things like that, just to track it and start off with that maybe once a month. Figure out what our big bills are, what we're making a month, and kind of just go from there just to figure out what our monthly intake is and everything that we're spending. From there, I definitely want to focus this year on figuring out a savings account. I have never had a savings account in my life, And I know that it is a lot easier than it sounds. I'm just the kind of person who really needs to know all the details before I commit and do something. One thing that I've been looking up is a high yield savings account. I want to open up 2 of them. One, I want to have just to have a savings account for emergencies and to just have that. And I want to do a second high yield savings account so I can start saving money for Gabe, my son, because I want to have enough money for one day that I can just save up for him in case of an emergency, but also in case like he needs it. Like I just want to give it to him and set him up for success. That's something I never had. That's something my husband never had. And so it's something that we want to prioritize and just have for him. And so that's the 2 main goals that I have with savings account. If you don't know what a high yield savings account is, it offers a higher interest rate so your money can grow faster. So I'm definitely going to look into those options first and see what we do with that. And I definitely want to create another video or even maybe a series from this because I want to like take you guys along with me while I do all these different things and maybe make a video for each thing that I do. So leave a comment below if that's something you're interested in. I would definitely love to share this journey with you guys. The next thing that I want to start doing is create like a financial goals list or spending list, I guess, if that makes more sense, because this is technically like my financial goals, but I want to create like a spending goals because again, like I mentioned before, I do not like to spend money. I don't like, that's just not my preferred thing. I do struggle with money trauma in the sense that I'm like, I don't want to spend on things that aren't necessities because what if one day I need this money like later for something that's important? And so to spend money, I have to be sure that I'm spending it, especially bigger purchases. And that's something that I want to just make sure me and my husband sit down and talk about. Like, what is going to be our next big purchase? We only have 1 car. Are we going to get a second car? Are we going to start saving to buy a house? Are we going to, I don't know what that looks like. But in my head, anything that's like a necessity, normal things like a car, like, are we going to prioritize this or that? And then just have a list of like all of our bigger spending goals and which one's more important and which one's gonna, you know, that kind of vibe. That's what I want to start working on. That way we can just have those set goals and see how much we can put in our savings account first. And then once we do that, start focusing on what we're going to start spending on that's going to benefit our family. And the very last thing that I definitely need to start working on, which don't judge me, I should already have this figured out, but I don't. I have no idea what I'm doing with my retirement plan. I have been a freelancer for a lot of my life, and I have a retirement somewhere because I did have a full-time job, like probably a few years spread out in my life, and I have a retirement account somewhere. Don't know where it is, and I need to call my employers and I need to figure out where that is and how to move forward from here because the job that I currently have is all technically contractor freelance. And I think one of the bigger options that I've heard are really good is a Roth ROI or something like that. And so that's a huge goal of mine. Figure out what my options are for retirement and get started on that because I am 30 years old and I feel like I am way behind on that. So those are the biggest goals that I have for my finances. Hopefully this was enjoyable or helpful for people who are struggling and on the same boat as me. Those are going to be the ones that are like going to be my huge priority this year. And as I figure things out, I'm going to make videos and hopefully you guys enjoy the series because it's going to help me out. So hopefully it can help you out.